Hello, welcome to the weekend edition of Talking Politics live on TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I'm Musazeh Cecily in the nation's capital city, Abuja, Nigeria. The federal government has said that President Buhari's priority is to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo stated this on Friday in a keynote address delivered virtually at the 19th meeting of the National Council on Development Planning themed National Development Planning in Nigeria, Issues and Challenges. Take a listen to him.
When drawing up national plans, to take account of the interests of the more vulnerable members of society, especially as according to the MBS, over 40% of our population live below the poverty line. This is why social investment and social protection are at the heart of the Buhari administration's policy interventions. Indeed, top of mind for Mr. President is how to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in this decade as we radically re-engineer the productive base of our economy in agriculture, in manufacturing, mining, and the digital and creative sectors.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday received a former head of state, retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar, at the State House in Abuja. The meeting was announced by Bashir Ahmad, personal assistant on new media to President Buhari on his Twitter handle. And it reads, President M. Buhari receives in audience former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, retired, at the State House, Abuja, he tweeted. The agenda of the meeting is not known and no statement was issued after the closed-door one-on-one discussion. However, the former head of state has been expressing concern over the security situation in the country. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has said there is a covenant among political leaders of the All Progressives Congress APC that the presidency would be zoned to the south in 2023. He maintained that the southern region deserves to produce the next president of the country on expiration of President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure in 2023. Zulum specifically called on the APC to heed his advice and keep to previous agreements made to shift power to the southern part of the country. He said this at a book launch in Abuja. And also the conveners and leadership of the National Consultative Forum NC Front, co-chaired by former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gali Umar Naaba, and a former presidential candidate, Professor Patu Tomi, has described as a fantasy the statement credited to the All Progressive Congress APC that it will rule Nigeria for 32 years. APC National Caretaker Chairman Mai Malam Buni had boasted that the ruling party would rule for 32 years, saying 8 years was not enough. The statement had drawn the ire of the opposition, especially the PDP, which asked the party to go in 2023. Joining the fray yesterday, NC Front said it was nauseated by the irresponsible and arrogant statement of the leadership of the ruling APC that they plan to continue to rule Nigeria for the next 32 years in spite of the mess of insecurity, corruption, and anarchy the party has fostered on the country within the space of 2 terms of being able to swindle Nigerians of state power. Today we're discussing with a legal practitioner, Barrister Frank Tete. Barrister Frank, you're welcome to the show today.
Thank you, and my pleasure.
All right, let's get started with the conversation today. A lot of people have said that let's look at the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari vis-a-vis the promises of the ruling party APC. Is it a fair assessment to say that they have delivered on their mandate and promises to Nigerians, from economy to security down to governance, looking at the state of things in our nation today?
Oh, well, thank you very much. The verdict with regards to that determination is a question that many Nigerians have answered by themselves, as a matter of fact. But if you actually take a look at the various campaign promises that were made by the then candidate of the APC, Muhammadu Buhari, and his running mate, Professor Osinbajo, you find that with the outcome of the Buhari Meta that was set up by Center for Democracy and Development, there is a woeful, failure in reaching or meeting those promises or keeping those promises. But apart from such theoretical, assessment, take a look at the economy as it is affecting the ordinary Nigerian. it leaves a lot to so much to so that, and then a lot of excuses can be made on the part of those who operate the government, blaming the past administration. But for some of us, we think that the outright failure to stem the growing tide of insecurity has actually been responsible for the inability of the Buhari administration meeting the great, actually get the government, the administration of President Buhari. Right now, the general assessment is that the government has failed. It has failed very badly in the aspect of providing security. Not much is expected from a government in matters of welfare. But if economic policies are put in place, and a private sector-driven economy would have blossomed, but as we see that security has overshadowed, insecurity, I would say, has overshadowed every kind of progress that would have been made in different areas, whether it's economy or even matters of culture. I don't see those excuses as being tenable, whether the previous administration or the recent, COVID-19 pandemic seem to have thrown many governments across the world off balance. Nevertheless, Nigerians know, and they have patiently understood and carried out with so much sacrifice with this government that has failed them, especially because a lot was promised, yet so much less was achieved.
Now, talking about apportioning blames on the previous administration, a lot of experts have said that could be a reason why the government may have not delivered on their promises. Very recently, the Minister of Transportation, Right Honorable Rotimi Amechi, was in Calabar, where he made a speech that if you look at the endemic poverty in the nation, it didn't start with the Buhari administration, that it's been there since inception, and that the blame should not be on the administration, not even on any other administration so far. Not just him, a whole lot of other leaders in the APC, have also said that this is not a problem, this is a problem we inherited. Even the Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Vice President, have also said so. Could that be a reason why there seems to be a slow progress as regards economy, security, and the entire, governance of the nation?
Let me tell you something. The problems we have had as a country have always been regarded as opportunities. They have been opportunities to other countries in history. So problems give rise to opportunities for people like President Buhari and the minister you have mentioned to come on board as people who now currently run the administration. They cannot now blame the opportunity that has been given to them as being the reason why they could not deliver. Let me tell you, you see, we have to think out of the box. Government is not just about capturing power and then sitting down to enjoy power. Government is a matter of serious, I'm talking about political power with those who operate government, the political power side of government. It is a huge responsibility. It is a burden to bear, to deliver on promises that are not ordinary. They are not, what you pick on the street. You have to think seriously. You have to look for a solution wherever they are, whether they are within or without Nigeria, in order to, improve the situation. That we have not found in the in President Buhari's administration. The reason is this: we had a government in place. Things were running to some extent, but failed, and making Nigerians realize that they were entitled to more. They could get more security, more transparency in running government, more egalitarian manner of distribution of resources, of whether they are oil resources or resources that come from taxation. Now, so much expectations were actually generated by the coming of the President Buhari administration. To think that nearly 6 years after, we still bandy excuses all over the place is unacceptable. In proper climes, if we were running a parliamentary system of government, what would have happened is that the administration would resign because it has failed. there will be a vote of confidence with regards to its promises and its ability to keep them. The government, and particularly the administration, and those who run it, after by the cabinet, they seem to be overwhelmed by the problems of Nigeria. So let us look for those that can actually think out of the box, that can look for solution. There is nothing wrong if the president sacks the entire cabinet. He is not doing so. Nigerians are not even seeing signs that the president is attacking the kind of strange problems, huge problems, teetering problems that we have with some radical measures. Sack these ministers if they are not performing, if they are not improving. It took us a long call, a long clamor before the service chief were sacked, because continually money was being poured into the security situation. There was no improvement. Technically defeated Boko Haram was always attacking. Banditry was always on the rise. Kidnapping became a matter of, it became a norm. And it took so long before the president sacked the service chief. Now, it doesn't have to take so much clamor. Realizes that the campaign promises of 2015, which again repeated in 2019, have not been met. Nigerians are disillusioned. The government takes a lot of responsibility, particularly the federal government, under the exclusive list. It should do more. It should acquire more competencies in ensuring that we use our problems as opportunities, as launch pads in becoming a great country that we are supposed to be. Other countries have benefited. Why do we always look for excuses? Yet we want to hang on to power, we want to enjoy the perks of power without discharging the responsibility, which is improving the security and welfare of the people of Nigeria.
Now, Mr. Tete, before we look at strategies on the way forward, because 2023 is just around the corner, if I may want to ask, is there any area that you can say that this administration has done something well or something right? If you want to appraise the situation, is there any area you can throw more light on?
It is a very difficult question you have asked me. If I may not have all the data, but I hear of a lot of intentions on the part of the government. Intentions that don't translate to reality, to actual development strides, don't help anybody. It's difficult to point at particular infrastructure projects that have transformed any part of the country. It's difficult to assess whether the policies that have been put in place have increased the employment. Rather, the unemployment has increased. We are talking about energy prices being contemplated to be increased again when you consider that in 2015 they were much lesser. So it's difficult to point at key areas of development where the administration of President Buhari has actually made significant improvement. It's difficult, very difficult to. It should have been very obvious. We would have seen it, especially in an area like anti-corruption, which was the major platform, the plank with which President Buhari rose to prominence and to power. But we haven't seen that significant, blockade of the leakages in government. We've seen all sort of figures banding all over the place, and yet we do not see them translate to actual development in terms of infrastructure, in terms of improved power supply or road infrastructure in places. Look at the dilapidated state of federal roads across southeast Nigeria, or majorly in the southern part of this country. You saw it's difficult to really assess. But if we must give some credit to what is going on, because it's a collective responsibility, then look at what the Minister of the Niger Delta is trying to do in the Niger Delta. Taking a whole lot of the budget, the percentage of the budget, large portion of the budget, in ensuring that the east-west road that has remained mysteriously uncompleted for many years and in successive administration is receiving some attention. Apart from that, I have not seen anything significant in terms of economic indices or political consultation which will assure the Nigerian citizen that there has been some improvement between 2015 and the present moment.
Now, in all of this quagmire that we find ourselves as a nation, the truth of the matter is that we must make headway. We must move forward. Now, ahead of 2023, before this administration elapses their tenure, what significant areas would you charge the President Muhammadu Buhari administration to focus on so it can serve as it can set the tone for the next leadership that would come in 2023?
It's very important that we have a country that is secure. Matters that have to do with economy will take a bit of some time for industries to pick up, for the middle, for small industries, small scale manufacturing industries to adjust and then begin to make profit, and then employment will begin to will record employment gains. However, the most important thing this government must do before the 2023 is to ensure that Nigeria is secure, and in doing so, Nigeria must know those that are its citizens. Nigeria must have a record of those that are inside this country, and then before you can, as an administration, plan for them. You cannot continue to blame the insurgency, the spate of kidnapping, the spate of outright banditry on foreigners who have made Nigeria a dumping ground for all sorts of violence. Now it shows that our borders are porous. We shouldn't be. The National Immigration Service should be equipped in such a manner that they can arrest all sorts of persons who have illegally crossed into Nigeria. Nigeria should be secure in this, and it should start by the government knowing those who are resident in the country, those who are foreigners. It doesn't matter whether they're in the rural area or in the urban area. The government should take charge of its people by taking responsibility for securing the space, the political, the geographical space known as Nigeria. It is not unacceptable for us to approach another election and then we don't know those who will vote, we don't know those who will cause mayhem. We cannot, with all of this clamor for secession, for nationalist movements in the east and recently in the southwest, there is a great need for the government to secure this country in order to secure the confidence of the citizens who will now believe that it is better to stay in the Federal Republic of Nigeria rather than to go the eastern way, go the south way, or go the southwestern way. The government needs to do more to assure Nigerians that it is better to be a Nigerian than to be in any of this secessionist movement. And in order to do so, secure this country, make the citizens confident, feel safe, and have hope that things will be better irrespective of the difficulty we've been through since 2015. Once you can do that, in 2023, Nigeria will overcome these problems that it's facing now. Insecurity is giving rise, accentuating the voices of separation, voices of nationalist movement, voices of pulling us apart, forgetting that we just had a civil war not too long ago in 1970. So we need to do, as a government, it needs to do more to unify Nigerians, to boost their confidence, and the only way to do so is by good governance, secure Nigeria, and then create an atmosphere for wealth to be made by those in the private sector, those who run small businesses, and then we'll be there.
Now, Mr. Frank Tete, before I let you go on the program, you quite agree with me that citizens have a role to play in all of this, instead of the nation and all of us moving forward as a country. Ahead of 2023, it's going to be one of our most important elections again to determine the future of this nation. What will be your charge to the citizens?
Citizens need to be aware that, that it is not enough to be aloof. They should take interest in what happens in the political space. It doesn't, because if citizens don't vote, if citizens don't take interest in issues, and if they are not politically educated, if they don't listen to news, citizens must also appreciate that the whole entity called the state of Nigeria exists for their own welfare. They should not feel that the government is doing them a favor when it builds roads or when it builds hospitals or enable the stable power supply. It is their right as citizens of this great country. We have a commonwealth, whether it is in oil resources or resources that come from taxation. All of these resources meant to improve the welfare of the citizen. Every Nigerian citizen should take interest in the process of lawmaking, particularly the making of the budget, so that they can see as a community, a state, and as a region. Then they can now join forces with those that are elected and those in the public service and civil service to work for the improvement of the living standard of this country. It is important when we talk about the role of the citizens. Let us not for judiciary. The judiciary must not fail Nigerians. It must not be seen as a tool in the hand of politicians, particularly with judges, particularly with regards to judges. They must not appear to be intimidated or afraid to determine cases, issues according to truth and justice. Judges are doing their part. Those who run the administration are doing their part. Those who are in the military are doing their part. They have a stable transition, in a smooth transition, I would say, in 2023.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frank Tete, legal practitioner, human rights defender, and a media aficionado. Thank you so much, Mr. Frank Tete, for joining us on the program. It's always great to get the quality of your thoughts across to Nigerians. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
That's it on the weekend edition of Talking Politics here on the Digital First Pan-African News Network. Do well to visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com to watch more episodes of Talking Politics. Follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TSTV Network. I'm Musa Isesele. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.